Tonight we welcome you to a realm of mystifying enigmas. A realm where the boundaries between fact and fiction blur, between the visible and the invisible. Welcome to Conspiracy Cinema Saturday. This is not your typical movie night. Here your guides are Tommy Truthful and Paranoid American, the most tenacious detectives of the Truth Mafia. These brave cinema sleuths are on a mission to unmask the obscure and decode the ubiquitous. To delve into the shadows of Hollywood's most popular and cryptic films and expose the hidden occult symbolism and messages concealed within. Are you ready to question the world as you know it? Join us as we journey into the underbelly of the silver screen, one frame at a time. So grab your popcorn and get ready for another episode of Conspiracy Cinema Saturday from Truth Mafia.
This is called fair use and is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 USC 107. Now, I have a special panel for you guys today. Before we get going, sorry about my voice, family. I was in the hospital. I got some things going on with my lungs, so I apologize for that. Make sure you check out truthmafia.com. All links are down in the description. And remember, we only have 4 days left that we're running the Diamond membership with your free numerology and astrology reading. That link is down below. After 4 days, it's gone forever because we're moving over to truthmafia.com, which will be $11 a month. And also I have all the guests, their links down below in the description. We're going to get into the Blue Beetle and the Maui Blue Code Plasma Apocalypse with our brother JayDreamerZ, Donut Factory, and Paranoid American. What's up, guys?
What up, y'all?
How you guys doing?
Good, man.
I'm ready to jump into some black goo, man. Big
too,
pool of it. Have it coming out of your eyes and everything, dude.
Blue goo.
Blue. They got great goo, though. They do have great goo. I found that out. And pretty crazy. So everything.
Watch out, a symbiote don't jump out of your back.
Right. Oh, and in that movie, let me say this is it went in via the how do I say this without getting in trouble? His back door. Let's just say that.
I went up his butt.
Yeah, that we don't want to say that. It's a little you know what I'm saying? We're on YouTube.
That's a little crass. This is a family show.
Back door. That's what
that's what happened.
Yeah,
that's true. That's right. What he said.
Streaming to my YouTube, so they are very you know what I'm saying? But okay, so I seen a lot of this stuff going on and I started decoding it, and with the blue connection, it's so crazy because right as Maui's going on, guys, we have all these blue ties, right? And they said in Maui, no, the stuff that was blue didn't burn. That's what they say. We have this blue moon right now, which a lot of these rituals are connected to, this blue moon. And first thing I thought about was JayDreamerZ, because I'm like, man, is this part of the plasma apocalypse? And Trump, with his new arrest record, what's it called? Blue Steel, which equals 36. This is HAARP's 36-year anniversary. The Adam and Eve story is 36, guys. And they say Nibiru is on a 3,600-year elliptical orbit, but I believe it's a portal, a dimension that opens up when the plasma punches through the firmament. Now, this website right here, I believe it was called what was that government website that showed we would get down, the population would drop by 270 million by 2025. So what do they know that we don't know? And JayDreamerZ, what do you know about this CIA Adam and Eve story, brother?
Oh, I did a whole thing on it. That the Adam and Eve, you talking about the story that used to be top secret or whatever, and it was declassified?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so that's the whole thing is really interesting. It's about cyclical cataclysms that happen to the earth, and the author goes into great detail about how it happens according to the ancient stories and the myths and the legends and stuff, and that it's going to happen again, and that these cataclysms befall our world from time to time. And he talks about safe places and places to go and being ready for it, and also like the conditions of the atmosphere, how these huge winds, like really high winds, kick up. He even makes a point about like where I live in Colorado, there's this huge mountain peak called Pikes Peak, and he talks about living on the lee side, or the side where you'll be safe from the winds or whatever, because the winds kick up whenever this happens, according to the author, and they blow over these mountains. So that's one of the reasons why, like the ancients of old would talk about run to the mountains and get to the mountains and the hills and head for the hills and stuff like that. One of them is to be safe from the high winds that pick up during what I believe is atmospheric depressurization.
Yeah, and we're supposed to have what, like 1,000-mile winds. It said that it will blow. It said San Francisco and California will be like it never existed. It'll be gone. So I think that might be connected to the whole Golden Gate Bridge situation too. Maybe that, because I had this theory that 9/11, they did that as kind of a marker, like we're this many years off from this plasma event. And then the whole code red, which you guys know what code red means. It equals 94. My people know numerology, so we know what else equals 94, right? And you just go on Paranoid Americans Occult Decode and type in code red, and you'll see what we're talking about. When that came out, I believe it was a drill, because we're getting closer and closer. And when we see the Golden Gate Bridge go, I think that'll be like we're right there on the precipice, and Project Bluebeam, I don't believe, is what exactly we think it is. Jay has an amazing theory on this. Could you tell us a little bit about that, Jay?
Yeah, totally. So before the show, me and Tommy were talking about, I did this video about the Christ and the Antichrist, which from my perspective, whenever we go through a polarity shift, we have terrestrial energy that shoots up out of the earth through cavernous systems and volcanoes and caves and stuff like that. And it's ionized gas. So it's plasma, and that plasma reaches up and it touches the sky, etc. And, according to my research, it seems that plasma tends to be in the blue spectrum. And I believe that it's because it's ionized oxygen, and it refreshes the world and it cleanses the world and acts as a cleanser, which is one of the reasons that we go through these apocalyptic events. There's a bad side to it, but there's also a refreshing good side, because it's a refreshing of the world. So you have to imagine the largest opening traditionally, according to the ancient myths and legends, is at Mount Meru, which is said to have a huge opening into it, basically like a giant volcano. It's said to be a huge tower that reaches up into the heavens. And if that's the largest opening in the world, then it would naturally also be, if terrestrial energy, it's sort of the opposite of cosmic energy or cosmic rays. These are terrestrial rays that shoot up. And speaking of that, academics is now touching on that too. I found an article lately that talks about and confirms that in Antarctica, they're mystified by academics and scientists alike, are mystified by these cosmic rays that are being emitted from the earth, that are shooting up out of the earth. They don't know, they don't understand it, they don't know what it is. But anyways, so the world gets refreshed and fills with oxygen once more. And it's invigorating, it's re-energizing, it's regenerative, it's life-giving. And the biggest beam comes up out of Mount Meru. However, inversely, the opposite of that, if that light source of life-giving energy that in the form of light that shoots up out of the earth itself is seen as like a type of Christ, or like people basically worshiped this light as a god type figure or a savior type figure, etc. The opposite of it would be the Antichrist, which would be something that replicates it, another beam of blue light or blue energy, which comes downwards from the sky, which My theory is that the sun, like I was telling you earlier, the sun used to be portrayed, the further back in time you go, as being red. The oldest accounts of the sun were that the sun was red, and it was bigger, and it was red and stuff, and it wasn't as hot,
We
basically.
went from what the beautiful orange sun, Jay, me and you grew up with, to this now, maybe like it's starting to turn whitish blue.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said
Yeah, it's
that's
going through a spectrum shift. So, and that happens with light sources. Whenever they get hotter or cooler, they'll change in color. And they even teach this in academics. That's just that they teach that it's, you know, a billion miles away and stuff like that. But regardless, whenever the light source especially whatever's coming from behind that light source, whenever you focus it. So like if you take a flashlight and you give it a really wide angle, then it'll be cooler light, and it'll be more along the red spectrum than it would be the blue spectrum, which is whenever you focus that light, right? So whenever the sun's light becomes more focused and it starts turning into the blue spectrum, which I link and relate to the blue star Kachina, like we talked about the blue star of the Hopi prophecy, that sun or that focal point up there in the sky starts to turn blue. It's getting super hot. So it went from red to orange, to the yellow spectrum, and then a yellowish white to a blinding white to a whitish blue now. And I promise you can look this up. Academics even agrees. Modern academics is starting to put it out there that the sun has blue in it, that it's starting to change. I mean, they won't say that it's changing. You know what I mean? They'll try to spin it like, oh, it's always been like that. We never noticed. But the sun now is becoming more blue. If the sun is turning more blue and it continues to do such, and it correlates with a hotter, environment that we live in, or, the air around it, the earth getting hotter, everything getting hotter, the ocean water getting hotter too, which is huge. Then it'll get very blue, so blue that it basically, when that light redistributes, if the sun is a focal point, when that light redistributes, it's smaller, so that it's like a laser. It's like whenever you focus the flashlight, right? The beam gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So what we consider to be daylight it shrinks. Our daytime shrinks, and we experience a quickening in what we perceive to be as time as we track, the sun and the moon and stuff like that. They all tighten in their circle, and daylight itself gets smaller. And when daylight itself gets smaller, that means that beam of light that we call daytime gets hotter, and it gets so hot. If this continues forward and we look forward, it will get so hot that it has the ability to start burning things, and it becomes the Antichrist. It becomes a blue beam or a blue ray from above that is destructive, in opposition to that blue beam or that blue ray that comes up terrestrially from the earth, which is life-giving. And
Shiva.
And they have a battle at the end.
Kind of like
And
Shiva, right? Shiva the destroyer.
yeah, it's kind of like Shiva. Vishnu is a good example of like the blue beam energy that comes up from the earth, that shoots up. Vishnu is even said to have like a holy bow and an arrow that can only be used basically to save the world, and shoots that special arrow, that holy arrow, up into the sky. Shiva is the meditating, waiting god, like a Cthulhu type, basically, who's just waiting for certain events to come and destroy the destroyer. But
That's
it's
my favorite analogy for Shiva is like a Cthulhu type god. I love that.
yeah, that's
Cthulhu,
basically
and Cthulhu is connected to the whole
he.
red situation with the Kraken and that new the new strand they came out with, without me getting in trouble. But
Yeah.
you said with Project Bluebeam, the elites, they have these ships, they stole our money and made these rocket ships where they're going to try to launch out through the portal when it opens up, and that's what they actually called Nibiru in the ancient times, the crossing, right? I'm
Yeah.
thinking maybe these entities were able to cross over as this giant portal opens in the sky, and people are going to think it's a planet because we've been programmed to think something that is a sphere is a planet getting closer to Earth, when really it's a giant portal. Now that's when they try to escape, and you said that they would tell us maybe they're fighting an alien invasion, right?
Yeah, that picture you just showed is the perfect picture of the blue beam from above. Whenever you're looking straight up at it, the center part of it goes dark. When it's at its maximum, all you see is a blue ring. So it'll turn blue, but whenever it's at its hottest and brightest and its narrowest amount of daylight, the center of it actually would be dark. It would be black, just like that. That's there's a few different gods, like tribal gods that they talk about that are represented just like that. And that's what the Hopi say too, that the blue star Kachina, or in this scenario, the sun would remove its mask. So this is the sunlight removing it, and you get darkness, which would be black, and then a ring of blue light, which would be like a blue ring of death, basically, because it would be destructive. It would be burning everything.
Wow. Yeah, it's fascinating. And people are reporting right now these twin suns all through the Midwest. And you know, there will be signs in the heavens. There will be we're seeing these two twin eclipses. The one in 2017, 41 days after that, what happened? Bam, Las Vegas shooting, right? And now we have the one coming up in April 8th of 2024. They're exactly 7 years apart and will form a giant X across the United States. And we have all this X symbolism, which represents Osiris. And that gets into the blue too, with Maui blue, Babylon, blue beam,
Twitter,
right.
The blue Twitter, the bluebird.
Yep, they change, and then they change it to the X. X represents Osiris. I think they're trying to put Osiris back together again, as far as um, the symbolism goes. Maybe they're doing it literally too with cloning technology. They're in them emails, the WikiLeaks emails. There was some talk about when we went into Iraq. They went there to take over the grave of Gilgamesh and these Nephilim kings, right? Which were giants because there was more oxygen or something during that time, Jay.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few contributors that help the return of gigantism in the world. One is the increased oxygen in the atmosphere. And another one is just the depressurization itself. There's less pressure pushing in on everything, shrinking everything.
Yeah, that's interesting. They're also talking about solar flares cause radio blackouts. This is trending today. And so Donut, what do you think about all this, brother? I know you get a little nervous with the whole he doesn't really like apocalyptic stuff. You know, it kind of scares him, which I get it. I'm totally into it though.
Don't be scared, bro. We're here. We're here for you.
I'm over here prepping and shit. I'm a prepper. So what do
Well,
you
when this goes down, all the prepping you do wouldn't matter.
Yeah, that's right.
You're probably right, Donut. You're probably right, brother.
You last like 4 extra weeks and then you succumb.
Do you have
Think
any
about, like,
this blue
this
moon,
whole-
Donut?
Yeah, so the blue moon is coming up. I got a couple things here. Let me share my screen real quick.
Yes, sir.
If that's cool. I think this is this is the screen right here.
Thank you, Eric. I appreciate you, and I got your Cash App the other day too, brother. And shout out to everyone that did the super chats. I love y'all. Yeah, Donut's right. What's Donut right about?
all the prepping that we do at the end of the day doesn't matter. I mean, even like egos of control, like let's say we become in a political place of power or whatever, a couple hundred years from now, nobody's going to remember any of the presidents of America right now or any of these movies for that fact. So
are you setting up your groups like I taught you, Donut, with your tabs up there? I don't see it.
Oh,
I taught him.
I do. I'm not bringing up that article. This is just a couple slides from the Blue Beetle movie.
Oh, okay.
I always like to start it off with a little Illuminati, but the slide I wanted to show Jay goes into the Mount Meru because I'm quite interested in the Black Rock, the Rupe's 33-mile Black Rock. And my friend Dana, who pointed out the blue all over Hawaii that remained, my friend Dana, I got to shout her out because she showed me that. And she also showed me this last year on how all the games, and I know she watches you, Jay, so maybe she got this from you, but all the old games are pointing to this Mount Meru of this Black Rock. And I haven't played this in a while, but this video was sick. Ancient childhood games. So Simon, for example, is Mount Meru. It's
Totally is
the Black Rock.
Right
You see it too, like clearly.
right.
Yeah.
Hey, you did a video on that before, I think, didn't you? With Simon? Or was that Donut? Donut might have been the one that did it.
Jay, did you do a video on this?
No, it's been brought up in my chat quite often. People, that's one of the first things they see is like, wow, that looks just like the Simon game, which is super interesting. Even the colors they chose, just like how you're showing right there, all those different colors and stuff. And it's split by the 4 rivers. And then it's black in the middle. Even see that lake in the middle that surrounds the Black Rock?
Right.
That lake is said to be crystal clear water with no impurities in it, which means that the light wouldn't reflect off of it. It would continue just going, which would make that lake, depending on your angle that you look at it, black. It would look like a black waters.
Yeah, and I like this little pole that I look at right here. So it's like the North Pole, and this is the 33-mile Black Rock. And this isn't just in Simon. This is in the game Twister. It's in why it's not popping up.
What do you mean?
You could probably see it at the bottom, Twister. Let me see if I could keep going. But even Disneyland right
Nice. Yeah.
here. I mean, shout out to Dana, because I mean this is her research. Even Disneyland. I'll post this on my YouTube tonight. How about that? But yeah. So I mean it goes deep. Twist right here. Remember this game? Apple Jacks or whatever.
No.
I do. I remember that game as a kid.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's the 4 corners, right? It's the portal symbolism.
Right.
So this eclipse that's about to take place, the 322 eclipse, because Yale will be celebrating its 322 ritual, and there's already pranking rituals happening right now over at Yale. Yale students welcome to campus with this death flyer, stay off the streets. Did you see this, Paranoid?
I do know. I love it though. I'm already in love with it.
Yeah, so this is welcome to Yale. 33% of crimes up.
56%, which is mind control. Which is mind
still, I guess this happened before too. And
we had that connection with what Jay Dreams shared with me with the strange cloud colors and the 56% of the world's oceans or change of the color of the ocean, not clouds, my apologies. And climate change is at 56. And a little FYI, Trump handed power to FEMA on 3/13 of 2020. Added up, it's 56. They still have power right now, and power outage is 56. That's a big number. 56 people signed the Declaration of Independence. So, you know.
Is the 56 include the mystery man?
What do you mean by that?
Oh, I guess he didn't sign anything, but the story of the mystery man.
Oh, I'm not hip to the mystery
So,
man.
yeah, when the Constitution was being written,
yes,
the mystery man, I think it was a German man, appeared and
That'd
said,
be
"Y'all better go through with this."
that'd be interesting to find out. Was he the 56 or was he the 57?
No, he didn't. He didn't sign it, so he wouldn't have been on there. But that was signed on National UFO Day, July 2nd, 7/2. There's 72 bricks on the back of the dollar bill. Metallica has got their new 72 Seasons album.
July 2nd. Was that the day?
That's the founding of America.
No. That was the day the girl flipped out on the plane.
Yes.
And then 38 days later, fire is 38. 38 days later, the fire broke out in Maui, and she's 38 years old. Go figure.
And the 3 and the 8, what I learned from you, Tommy, means murder, right? Murder by numbers.
Yep, it's on the cover of it. Yes, sir. Yep, sure is. What was her name? Tiffany or something? Tiffany Gomez was her name. Tiffany Gomez, yeah. She flipped out on the plane, guys. And then exactly 38 days later, bam, Maui fires break out. And, fire is 38. So that's really interesting.
What's this guy's name?
What guy, buddy?
George Lopez?
Oh, yeah.
Gomez Lopez. It sounded the same.
Oh, it's a little different, bud.
Yeah, I wanted to, before we got too far, I wanted to ask Jay something really quick, because he was blowing my mind before about the terrestrial energy. I hadn't ever heard of that concept, and it makes so much sense. And I've heard of something that sounds adjacent to that, but nowhere close. And that was the Lovelock's theory of Gaia, where he postulated that the Earth itself is a living organism, and we're just kind of living on its skin, and that, I don't know, like, does that mesh well with your terrestrial energy? Does that represent, other versions of that, where it's like a living organism and not just some shell with, goo in it?
Yeah, totally. So, I mean, as humans, I feel like we've sort of conditioned ourselves to only see our humanoid appearance as something that is alive or spirit filled, or an organism, like that matters, like, really. But we're made up of all these tiny little organisms. If we didn't have all the little microscopic machines running around in our body and life forms and stuff that live and they're literally symbiotes. Like it's a symbiotic relationship that we have with these tiny little microscopic life forms, which is why, like, in the movies, they show us this all the time with Ant-Man and like Quantumania and man, there's also this other comic book, something Cosmonauts, or I forgot what it's called. Micronauts. So it's this whole quantum realm or whatever, which exists inside of us, which exists with the Earth that we are a part of. We're like a part of the Earth. I mean, that's what all of the ancient myths and legends and religions talk about, humans being made out of mud or clay or parts of the Earth, and then being breathed into. You being given the spirit of life, or being shocked to life, or like a Frankenstein type of deal, right? And I think that I believe in what I call like the macrocosm, which is those things above in the grander reality of the cosmos, I guess you could say, and that's alive. But also the mesocosm of what we would call normal, and then the microcosm, which is the universe inside of us, and that how it's all fractal, and it goes back to like as above, so below. But the Earth is, I mean, it breathes, man. Like there's ancient accounts talking about how the ocean is like the lungs of the Earth, and how it like filters out things, which is another reason why I think we should do well as far as just keeping a pulse on things, is to watch the ocean as well, as these things are heating up and stuff like that, and what happens with the ocean. But yeah, like there's the breath of the Earth, all these caves of the winds and stuff.
My mom said that too, bro. She went to Florida, and she goes every year. She said the water is so hot. Paranoid American.
It's hot tub hot. Like, it's freaking hot.
Yeah,
dude.
and we get those weird algae blooms, and they get something called red tide. And red tide a few years ago decimated the entire coastline, because you couldn't even walk around outside. Your eyes would burn, your lungs would burn. It would smell like putricide. It's horrible, man. And it actually shut so many hotels and restaurants down. They never came back to life after that. And it just happens because of like a slight fluctuation in the temperature of the water.
And the terrible drivers.
Don't even get me started.
That's interesting, because Jay Dreams was just telling me about the water turning red and it affecting our lungs.
Yeah,
Yeah, dude, red tide is serious.
I'm up here in Ohio where that damn plane or train happened. Remember, Donut? What was it called? And we
The
got
Palestine train.
Yeah, yes, sir. We got over 500 people in here right now. Smash that like button and a bunch more over on Rumble, and I don't know how many's on Twitter, but hit that like button. We're streaming to mass platforms. Conspiracy Cinema Podcast, we got that one going. I actually got monetized too on Truth Mafia podcast, which I was shocked that they did that.
They want some of that money, bro. They want to tap into some of that.
Yeah, because they never. YouTube hates me, bro. They really do. It's so weird. But you know, I save my channel on YouTube for like big interviews with people like Jay and all of our big members, Logan from Decode Your Reality. What I don't do is do videos by myself, because that's where I get in trouble. I just start talking craziness, and then I get my whole channel taken down. And Conspiracy Cinema Saturdays, guys, that YouTube channel, go subscribe to it right now. Conspiracy Cinema Saturday. That's me and Paranoid American, where we're doing these movie breakdowns every Saturday. And I wanted to touch one thing real quick. Gematria 101, shout out to them. I don't know them, but they make a great thing here. Golden ratio, 1.61 times 2 is 322. Now, what is 161? Asphyxiation. We're going through a massive asphyxiation ritual, and I think it has to do with this event where the oxygen is getting weaker and weaker and weaker. You know, hashtag I can't breathe with George Floyd, the whole thing with Code Red, it's all connected to oxygen, and this ties into the hangman card, which me and Brother Donut talked about extensively on our members only video.
Oh, and Miley Cyrus, if you want to just share my screen again, she just dropped a new video, and it's the 322 length, right? You know, her last video as well had the 322 length as well. So right here, 322, and her other video, Flowers, which I can't play because you know, we want to keep the channel up. 322 for this 322 year. And they, you know, in this movie, The Blue Beetle, they were calling Batman a fascist, and I mean, Batman is part of the 322 as well. To notate that.
I kind of agree with that. I think Batman's a fascist.
You think so? How is he? He's
Yeah.
a capitalist.
Well, I mean, he thrives in the capitalist system, but he himself is a pure fascism. He's the judge and the jury all in one. I mean, there's nothing more, you know, fascistic about that.
Good
You know what I
point.
mean? Like, he shows up and he's
Wow.
like, "You're the bad guy. I've just determined you're the bad guy," and then he throws you off the building.
Yeah, they made the Riddler seem like a bad guy.
I'm blocking this weirdo. Hold on, we got a spammer. Get up out of here, spammer. Hey, listen, we don't play that over here. If you start spamming, he just keeps saying emergency, emergency, emergency. You got to go, right? Or if you say anything negative to people, we're on a higher vibration over here. So please, most people are all really amazing in the comments. It was just this one Pablito or whatever the hell his name is, who is no longer here.
He got infected by the black goo. Don't mind him.
Yeah, it's okay. He got hit by that black goo.
I'm on the high vibrations because of my cat be purring, and I put my head on him, and then I vibrate at the cat frequency and heal my cellular level DNA.
How was the sauna last night, Brother Donut? Donut's on a cleanse, ain't you? I'm trying. I
went to the sauna, and then I was like, you know what? I'm getting me a burrito.
Oh, good.
Sauna fest.
So now I'm doing terrible.
The juices today. I ordered them instead of eating lunch. I just ordered the juice. You got me on it. Fresh squeeze. So I got the ginger in there, the kale. I'm trying to build my system back up naturally, because all they want to do is give you these antibiotics, which I believe is pharmakia, everything they give you, you end up having all these symptoms. I eat their antibiotic, and next thing I know, I got a headache and I'm throwing up. I'm like, come on, man. This ain't normal. I'm just going to take 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C, drink my little juices, and try to build my immune system back up. Turmeric, I've been getting in the juice too, Brother Donut. They say that's really good.
That's really good.
Thank you for the super chat, my brother Eric. I appreciate you.
I got so many jokes, but we're on our best behavior right now, so I'm trying to be
we're trying to be a little good, guys. I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah.
I just got my YouTube doing good, so but we're still going to get into everything. Let's talk a little bit about the black goo without getting ourselves in too much trouble. Now, when the character in Blue Beetle, and look, guys, Blue Beetle came out 10 days after the fire started. Well, what equals 10? Satan. So that's interesting. And
isn't 10x as well? Because in Roman numeral?
Yes. Yes, it is, sir. And all the X symbolism connected to Osiris. But we have this I can't pronounce his name. Kefri, god that is connected to this scribe. The scribe. I can never say that either. But anyway, Scarab. Thank you, Jay. Thank you. Now, as he is transforming in the scarab, it literally merges with him, guys. It merges with his DNA and starts to bind itself to him. If you take it off, it would kill him. So and I'm telling you, that black goo, that's the storehouse for demonic consciousness. That's my opinion on it, anyways. But in the movie, he picks up that scarab, and it literally jumps on his face. Then it starts to bind itself to its like spine. And once it does that, black goo starts coming out of everywhere, but it turns into a suit, right? So I found that very interesting. Now, the number connection, flip the number 118 around, and what do we get? 811. Wormwood Revelations, where the third of the stars fall from heaven. The star's name is Wormwood. The codes 118 and 811 are intertwined with the destruction of the iconic Golden Gate Bridge, but also it is Harp's birthday, 8/11 of 1987. And again, this is Harp's 36-year anniversary. And like I said before, the scarab was the guardian in Egypt of the Golden Gate, the Galactic Center, also known as the Silver Gate, which is 118 matching scarab. And the Blue Beetle decode. Oh, let me get down to this part. Okay, here we go. Let me share my screen real quick, guys. I want to show you this.
You know how that beetle went through the back?
Yeah, the back door. That's what we'll call it.
So that could be some of that
symbolism.
That's the dung beetle, right?
Yeah, the dung beetle. So in the movie, they called it the alien scribe. Whatever, scarab. I can never say that word. So, alien scarab, 27. Chaldean equals 27. This is the most purest cipher. It really is, guys. It's the only cipher that, I mean, I use other ciphers, reverse ordinal stuff, but I always go to Chaldean first. If you know who Logan is from Decode Your Reality, he really got everybody on this Chaldean cipher, which is one of the oldest. So August 18th is when this was released, right? And like I already said, 10 days after the fires. Now, alien scarab equals 27, which remarkably, we're at 27 degrees Capricorn, Pluto's return, the first time since the formation of the Illuminati in 1776. That happened on May 1st. And remember this year on May 1st, what happened, guys? Aliens. That was the day Tommy warned you about, too. The 13 days of preparation going into Beltane. And we had the alien event in Las Vegas. The number 27 further resonates with rituals. Ritual equals 27. Black Cube is 27. Big Pharma is 27. And we have the 27 Club, where these rappers allegedly die. Well, not just rappers, singers in general die at this 27. And it having that connection to Big Pharma makes sense because the black goo in it, right? So now let us dive into the DNA part, which that is connected to the whole black goo technology, programmable matter, courtesy of his suit. This occurrence bears significance intertwining with the concept of third strand DNA, serving as a nefarious vessel for demonic consciousness. As the global reset, the plasma apocalypse, or the rapture looms, the elites resort to merging humans with machines. It's called mixing the iron and clay. This was the dream Nebuchadnezzar had, Daniel's prophecy, right? Mixing the iron and clay. So, what I believe, they're trying to download us, as many people as they can, and get us to assimilate to their D-Wave quantum reality. The D-Wave computer is plugged into CERN. The internet was created in the early 90s at CERN. It was actually originally created to speak to the dead, they say. So, very interesting. And cloning equals 27, guys. And if you go over here on truthmafia.com, watch this video. It's crazy. This dude, let me see if I could show you without.
Isn't that Kid Blue? Oh, Boo, not Blue.
Kid Boo, yeah, he says he's a clone, but he has all these badges. I mean, maybe you definitely could make them up, but this was a long time ago. Not saying you couldn't make it up then. And then he did this video with, he's saying it's his clone, could be his brother. We don't know, right? Does he have a twin? But he talks about being a clone, and I wouldn't put it past them. This technology where they want us to merge with these machines. Now, this lady is the owner of Clonaid, and in 2012, they created their first clone called Eve. It was like December of 2012. You watch that video, that's what she's talking about right there. She's telling the public about this clone she has, right? And I keep seeing the connection to Nibiru over and over and over and over again. In this one, Rex talks about why Twitter went to the, changed the logo to the X, and he breaks it down pretty good. You can watch it on there. But as far as the code red goes, the code red, we have that number 17 again, guys, which is Nibiru, right? Even when you look at EG5 Eris equaling 24, now 24 is connected to the Omega event, to number of Jupiter, and it's connected to the element chromium. Chromium, the name is derived from the Greek chroma, meaning color, and the color is blue, and it looks like the winged disc, which we see with Nibiru, the winged disc symbolism, right? Let me show you.
I like the idea that there's I was just gonna say, I like the idea there's a cloning company out there, and they're like, where can we use this cloning? And they're like, we're just gonna clone rappers with face tats. Like that's gonna be our clone demographic. That's what we need. Sorry, what were you saying, Jay?
I was just laughing. I think that's hilarious.
Well, shout out to the One on One podcast. He broke down how it is connected with the golem, right?
I'm trying to find. Okay, here we go.
So the golem got the tattoos on its face, just like.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, no, I never put that together.
Yes.
Let me go.
So there's more merit than I thought. I'm just joking over here, but yeah, man. Like if you rub off like one of the face tats on Lil Wayne, what do you like? Goes back to sleep.
Right. The truth is what. One of them's truth. The one word is truth, and one word is death, and they're just one letter apart.
And isn't that letter representative of God? So it's like when you take God away.
Sorry, guys.
I'm making it up.
Search. Oh shit! I typed too fast. There we go. All right. Sorry. Here we go. When you use Brave, it just sucks. It doesn't give you any of the searches. It's weird. But this is the symbol I was telling you guys about right here. And Jay, you're familiar with these symbols, right?
Yeah, totally.
So this got me going down a rabbit hole, brother Jay. This 8-pointed star, and I want to share my findings with you really quick because let's share this. Oops. Okay. So hold on. I got all my slides right here. Here we go. 8-pointed star, which I believe through my research that the ancients talked about this star that would open in the sky, an 8-pointed star, right? And we see it connected to the Merovingian bloodline, the Knights Templar cross. That is supposed to be the descendants of the Anunnaki. We see this 8-pointed star on the Pope's coat of arms. It's also connected to CERN. And in front of the Vatican, they have the 8 spokes on the wheel. The CERN has the 8 bars going around inside of it. Anana's name and cuneiform. We see the 8, right? We see it all throughout society. We see it with the emperor, or the Order of the Dragon, guys, which they have the cross and the 8-pointed star connected to the Stargate that would allegedly open in the sky, and it goes all the way back to Babylon. You know, the ancients, that's what they were all about, this star, this Stargate. So what do you know about the 8-pointed star, Jay?
I can draw you a picture of what I think it is if you want to see.
Yeah, I would love to.
Okay. How do I share my screen? I don't know how to do that.
Just go to present, right, Donut?
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
All right.
Isn't
Cool.
that 8-pointed star the
Donut's
same one
mic
from
off.
Prometheus? Isn't Prometheus the one where they saw that 8-pointed star over and over?
I think so.
Maybe so.
All right. So you see the screen, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So this is just a rudimentary drawing. The old cosmologies, the world across, they had this firmament above, right? So what I've drawn here is Mount Meru in the middle, this orange mountain. I don't know, the color, whatever, right? But it is 33, which represents orange too. So I put this mountain in the middle. This would be at the North Pole. This would be Mount Meru right here. And then above, this would be the firmament above us. But instead of being a perfect dome, it would have an inverted dome at the top. The reason for this is because if, let's just speculate, and let's say that there was a physical firmament above our world, or a separator between us and what they call space, which if there was one, then our world would fill with pressure, and we would have pressure systems and weather patterns, which we do. So this up here would be the apex of the world. And if the world were to depressurize, or the atmosphere were to depressurize, and this portion of it that you see as an inverted dome would essentially break off, and it would be a hole in this greater dome above. Okay, so this dome reestablishes itself, or it regenerates itself. I don't know if you've ever heard of the ice, the Antarctic ice, and the stories of the people who've gone and they've seen the ice that regenerates itself, or the wall of ice is said to regenerate itself when they try to dig into it.
Wow. No, that's interesting. I need to get hip to that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So anyways, I'll come back to that, but I just want to share this little presentation I'm making. So back to the terrestrial Earth energy, right? Blasting up out of Mount Meru. I'm just going to give like a short version of it. And if you have questions, you could totally ask. But that energy, let me make this a bit bigger. So that energy shoots up out of Mount Meru. I'll just make it here. A blue beam of ionized, we'll say oxygen, shoots up. And whenever it gets near to, once that electromagnetic field goes back up, because there's a neutral point where it goes down, but once it goes back up and this inverted portion of the top of the firmament is recreated, this energetic beam of light shoots back up and it conforms to this. So it spreads out and it wraps around, basically giving us like a flux capacitor type of a look, or a Y. It's also the ancient letter Vav, or the number 6.
Wow.
And it spreads out and it wraps around, right? So at first it just wraps around, but because it's plasma, it creates auroras. So what happens is it creates these little tendrils or feathers that come down off of the actual winged portion of it, which makes it, one could interpret this as a bird or a giant cosmic bird up in the sky, etc. And creates these auroras basically that look like a huge thunderbird or a bluebird of happiness, or the Twitter bluebird, etc., the phoenix rising from the ashes, etc. And then the circle up in the sky. So if you were to look at this from far away, basically it would kind of look like this, and then it would spread out. This is also the world tree, the tree of life, the Irminsul, the Saxon world tree, etc. And it would spread out like that, and then it would have these little feathers of auroras that come down off of it and stuff like that, off of the bottom of it. And at the top, if I could switch this color real quick, people would see the depressurization point, which would be what people call Nibiru, or the portal,
Wow.
or the gate, or the opening in the world, or whatever. And then the plasma would leak out of that in whatever direction the wind was blowing, which would give you the beak, or depending on which direction and what angle you're looking at it, some people would see a beak, some people would see a beard, some people would see a horn at the top of a head or whatever. But this right here is, I believe, like the symbolism. If I go back to the blue, you can see that at first it would be solid, but it would mix with the atmosphere because the atmosphere is fluid and so is plasma. So this right here would actually branch off over time, and it would branch off lower. It would branch off towards the earth downwards, and higher up it would branch off this way or whatever. And it would create also a type of symbolism of the dung beetle or the scarab or whatever. That's why you always have that red dot. Oops. You always have that red dot above that scarab. I think you have a picture of a scarab that you showed, and
Yes.
it's always holding this red. They called it the sun disk, but there's different suns. The further back in time we go, there's different mythologies and legends that talk about how we had these different suns or whatever. I just wanted to share that. Just sort of, that was like a real rudimentary visual example,
No,
using
that was
the
cool.
technology of like the world having a firmament and that blue energy shooting up and then branching out and spreading out, creating these different types, like the burning bush type or motif, the tree of life, the world tree, the axis mundi, the Jed pillar that shoots up and branches off, Jacob's ladder,
So
etc.
the star that they're seeing is like called the Galactic Mountain or something, right?
Yeah, so check that out. See that picture right there at the bottom
Yes.
left? You see how there's it looks like there's this sort of red mountain, almost how I drew, like, or that could be energy beam, or it could be a mountain or something. But above it, there's two circles. There's always these two circles. This is the all-seeing eye. This is the eye of God. This is the depressurization point. The outer circle would be the inverted dome looking down at us, or the actual eye. The iris of it would be the opening in the middle of that. And then you have the plasma that shoots out. Some drawings would actually depict it at first with only 4. They would have 4 beams of light, and then as it continues on, it splits off, and you could see 8 beams of light. But that would be the plasma. And then once those beams of light hit the boundary of that outer circle, they would break because the winds would push them. The winds would push the plasma, which would create a sort of like a broken star, broken cross pattern, stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Wow, that's pretty interesting. Paranoid American, do you know anything about this star? Was it connected to the Phoenicians or anything?
I mean, that particular shape comes up in a lot of different cultures, and also in that slide you just had open, it was interesting that it had Knights Templar, it had Joseph Smith, the Mormonism, Masonry, the Merovingians all tied together, because that bee and the beehive are very prominent symbols that go through all of those different sort of like societies. And man, it's one of the most cryptic symbols, because on the exoteric, it's supposed to mean industrious. It's like the way that bees can all come together and work in sync with each other and kind of like form this greater thing that is greater than, the combination of all the bees together. They form this big hive, and that concept of hive mind is very prevalent in a lot of secret societies. And that's usually when you see that little beehive, it's kind of like there's something going on here. there's like an extra society, there's an industry running behind the scenes. I always find that one fascinating.
Yeah, and I'll chime in on that too. With the bee symbolism, it's super interesting. There's the honeycomb symbolism and then the bee symbolism too. There, remember how I drew that picture of Mount Meru, and I'm speculating that it's a cavernous system. It's a huge cave or a volcano, basically, that erupts plasma from time to time. That was known in some mythologies, especially in like the ancient Greeks and stuff, as the cave of Zeus, the thunderbolt holder. It was called Psychros Cave, and there's this legend of these mortals who went to the cave of Zeus because they heard that inside of the cave of Zeus he was raised on these sacred bees, or the honey that the sacred bees had made, right? So in order to go in and be protected inside of the cave of Zeus, these mortals had to put on full metallic knight's armor. They had to put on all this knight's armor, not to like fight off any physical bad guys or Zeus or anything like that, but to be protected from these holy bees, right? So imagine like the bees are like ball lightning or plasma balls or instabilities that branch off of all of those electrical currents, right? And that they have this viscous byproduct as they electrify the very air or vaporous atmosphere that would exist between the two different pressures of the internal world and the external world. And they would leave this charged viscous material, which they consider to be the honey of these bees. And they went in to try to find this honey because it was basically seen as like a type of ambrosia or elixir of life. And when they were in there, Zeus saw them and he was like, oh man, you can't be in here. Like nothing mortal can live in my cave, which is true. And he tried to kill them. And so he hurls a thunderbolt at them, but they're basically wearing Faraday cages. So the electricity hits them and they can't die. This is like a cave of immortals. They can't die within this cave because the energy is so high that it supports the regeneration or the regenerative qualities of the actual cellular structure within the human body itself. So this is why legends talk about how like those who live within the earth or within the hollow recesses of the world, they tend to be immortal as well. They tend to be gigantic and huge and live a very long time and have regenerative qualities and stuff. That's what that reminded me of with all the bee, the holy
it's crazy
bees.
you said ball lightning. I mean, maybe pun intended, but because Zeus essentially came from Baal. In fact, one of the original names of Baal was like Baal Xiphon, which was that same cave that you're talking about where Zeus was supposed to have been born. So like all these different Baal meaning Lord or God, but he was like the god of that particular region, and that was his cave. And I've never heard that concept before with like maybe the Knights Templar, right? It was really just like a Faraday cage / bee suit. That's wild, dude. And Tommy, to answer you, yeah, the 8-pointed star too, I believe was like Mesopotamian Ishtar, Astarte, and then that got simplified when it gets to Phoenicia. One of my favorite topics that I think people should pay way more attention to is the goddess Tanit, because the goddess Tanit also adopted that 8-pointed star, but she also ends up becoming the symbol of the all-seeing eye, in my opinion. And that kind of gets lost through all the different translation, but I think that the goddess Tanit might be one of the actual gods that people worship today in esoteric systems. They might just not know it. They might know it as like Diana. They might know it as like some other goddess, but I really do think that it's Tanit, and that's the one that has lasted through the state-sponsored religions of Phoenicia and Carthage, and those are the ones that went underground. And they went underground because the state sponsored still goes on, right? But they just don't do it out in the open. So the state is still worshiping these ancient gods the same way that the state used to do it out in the public. But now they're kind of doing it for themselves because maybe there is something to it. Maybe there is something to as above, so below, sympathetic magic, or even understanding like these cycles. And one of the things, like anyone that knows me well enough knows I'm pretty much more skeptic than most people would assume at first take. I don't get into the woo-woo, but man, when Jay was talking earlier about this like cataclysmic cycle, sorry, Donut, plug your ears, like earmuffs. No, but but like that's one thing that I could easily believe, that if there was something that happened on such a large scale, because humans aren't great at thinking of things that are the macro and the micro. That's why it gets into like this philosophy and metaphysics and stuff. But if you said that there was this cataclysm that just wiped out all of our records, and then it lasted for long enough that people would forget about it and then doubt that it actually happened, and then say, oh, all those stories, those are just stories, it doesn't actually happen, and then you don't see it coming, right? And then it's like this self-fulfilling thing that if you don't see it coming and you don't prepare for it and it wipes everything out, then you spend the next like 10,000, 100,000 years of like, all right, we need to write all this down in books. We need to write stories. We need to make it interesting enough that people just remember these stories. So when this happens again, they can do something about it. But it goes on for so long and someone's like, oh, you believe in a sky daddy? You're an idiot. You know what I mean? And then like the fire comes and burns everything.
Right. No, that's interesting breakdown. Now, Paranoid American, I wanted to ask you a question about the movie. Where do you think this technology came from? They don't really give us much on that in the movie.
Well, I mean, we're talking about at a simple nature, like nanotechnology, these nanobots that are so small that it just looks like a black goo. And we mentioned this in Prometheus. It's like a really old story. Even like the first guy that was, Doenut mentioned golems before. In 1965, there was an Israeli artificial intelligence researcher that also linked the concept of AI, and this is in 65, of AI to the golem. And I really do think that we're going to pass that, like that threshold of like synchronicity, whatever it is, that the second computers become smarter and more capable than us, we won't be smart or capable enough to realize that. So we're just going to keep thinking like we're running the show, and then they start running the show. And that's when at this point, computers can decide like, oh, here's how we're going to develop nanotechnology. We don't have to wait for humans anymore. They're taking forever to figure out how to like shrink things down and make them energy efficient enough to operate. We just do it. So, I mean, the answer, I think that computers might actually be the source of this nanotechnology. And if there was any version of this out, you know, in space or from like another planet, think about how much more efficient it would be to have these little nano molecules that can sort of like represent the micro, right? And the second that it finds a new ecosystem, it finds a new world, if it understands the micro and the macro, like Jay was talking about, it can just be like a strand of DNA. It can be that black goo from Prometheus that essentially has like all the programming needed to create an entire planet full of life. So, I mean, I think that there might be like a as above, so below, as it began, so it ends sort of situation here with black goo.
Wow. That's an interesting breakdown. Doenut, what's your thoughts on the movie, brother?
Oh, I think it was a little mean. I think a lot of these movies are divisive, but if you share my screen real quick, I was in Hollywood where they probably filmed this movie. You know what I mean? They filmed the stuff in Hollywood.
He was out there.
Which part was mean?
It was mean against white people.
Yeah, okay. I mean, yeah, fair.
So here's the bee in Hollywood, and I saw this beetle all over the place, even Scientology. Oh, right here, this guy has the eye. I was just out here in Hollywood, and this beetle was everywhere. For that movie, the blue beetle, and the 8-pointed star. I filmed it with my cell phone.
Whoa, check that out. That's tight.
That looks like those tendrils you were just talking about, Jay.
Yeah.
Where? So this is the Ishtar Gate, right? That's blue. Speaking of blue, they changed it. It's circled. So I was filming the Ishtar Gate, and it's a portal with the 8-pointed star. This is Disney's 8-pointed star, El Capitan Theater.
It's a symbol of the Babylonian Ishtar Gate, right, Doenut?
Yeah.
Kind of like a
but I mean, like, it's probably yeah. So here's the Ishtar star. It goes right directly through the Ishtar Gate, as I'm right underneath the Ishtar Gate right here. And it connects straight to the Hollywood sign. So it's like directly aligned. And then look behind me, it's the cult of PT. The cult of PT.
That's funny.
right?
They know,
there.
man. That they. I mean, I feel like whoever understands that, like all the esoteric stuff in Hollywood, they were like, "We need to get this billboard. Don't ask me why. We just need it here."
Yes, and then when we logged in to America Online, since I'm using AOL, and it was dialing in, I saw the 8-pointed star right here with the key. So it's the exact symbolism of the portal.
Interesting. Yeah.
But
That is cool.
I thought the movie was awful.
You didn't like
Yeah.
it?
It was a terrible film.
I liked it.
I didn't hate it.
I didn't hate it. I didn't think it was great, but they're always going to have programming in it to try to divide and conquer. That's in everything now. You know, we don't focus.
I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. I like Werner Herzog films. I like the movie Wild Strawberries. I recently watched that. That was a good film. I just feel like it was not a good movie.
Well,
I gotta say something
I
even more
want to know about the
controversial than that.
symbolism, really, not about the actual. That's what we do here on Conspiracy Cinema Saturdays. We get into the symbolism of the movie. What type of message did you think they were trying to purvey with the nanotechnology and stuff?
Well, that's why I'm here, because I want to learn from y'all. You guys know that way more
I
than
think
me.
they're hyping it up. They're saying like if you want to become superhuman, because this is also a big difference between Marvel and DC movies, in my opinion, is that Marvel movies, it's usually a normal person that becomes superpowered. So they're infinitely more relatable because you see a normal person that goes through normal person issues, and then all of a sudden they've got the superpower, and they usually use that superpower to address their normal person problems. You know what I mean? And that's kind of unique here in Blue Beetle, because DC, it's usually someone came from another planet, or someone's like the son or the daughter of a god, so they're just not as relatable. So Blue Beetle is one example of these. But how is he relatable? Well, it's like he ingests this nanotechnology, and that makes him better than a human could ever possibly be. And if you want to get into like the programming aspect of this, it really is the transhumanism aspect of like, that's a boomer thing to be worried about fusing, nanobugs with your body. And who cares if like your back glows a little bit here and there? Like, you get to fly, you know what I mean? You get to fly into outer space and
Yeah.
shoot lasers and stuff. So it's cool. And I mean, that's a very juvenile approach to it, but the next step is like, oh yeah, you go to Walgreens and this little like robot thing climbs up your neck, and it it does something to you and then leaves. That's normal, because you want to be a superpower, you want to have like a superhuman abilities, don't you? So I feel like there's a little bit of a push, and like it's not scary anymore, because it's a scary scene, right? But almost every movie I can think of prior to this, when that black goo infests somebody, it never turns out good for the black goo person. But now in Blue Beetle, it's like, okay, maybe there is something good. Maybe we can like agree with this, seeping technology that we don't understand, and just let it take control because it's for the best.
I did notice that all the blue symbolism, as I've been looking into the whole blue thing, the Blue Beetle, all the Hawaii blue. And when he looks at, it looks like he's looking at Mary, the Virgin Mary, who's always depicted in blue too. So there's like this painting, and he's just staring at it, and they always show his face staring at it too. And DC Comics got a Illuminati in their comic series with time traveling.
Well, there's a Marvel Illuminati too.
Yeah, and there's a Marvel one.
Now,
and the guy that wrote the comic for the original Blue Beetle, he worked on Cracked Magazine. Remember Cracked Magazine?
Yeah, I didn't know that. To be honest, man, I never liked Blue Beetle growing up. It was like, give me some Wolverine or some Cyclops. I don't care about some stupid dude that's got a beetle outfit. I don't know. It didn't grab me.
What about the Beatles, right? Did you see that with the ancient Egyptian scarab?
No, what's this?
It's on a boat. I'll pull up the slide. There's I'll pull up the slide. It'll explain it better than me explaining it.
You want me to share your screen, buddy?
Not just yet. I gotta find it. So
Oh, that's fine.
continue. Yeah.
I want to touch on something then while you're looking for it. So we know all this blue symbolism, I connected it to the Blue Lodge and Freemasonry. And that's why we're seeing this symbolism, right? Well, Blue Lodge is 38, guys. Now, fire is 38. Endora is 38 that they said fueled the fire. The fire started 38 days after Tiffany Gomez broke down on the plane. She's a 38-year-old. And then we get into the element 38, which is I can never pronounce it. Let me strontium, I think is how you pronounce it. Is that right?
Yeah, strontium. Yep.
Okay. It's a high energy radiation, can be used to generate an electric current. So I found that very interesting, how it's connected to that. And during the fires, what happened, guys? All the power lines came down and electric was everywhere. They said starting fires, right? Who knows if that's true? It could have been this event, this whole plasma thing. We don't really know. You know what I'm saying? And then I have this video that I wanted to show Jay real quick. Hold on.
And you got the blue and the red beetle fighting each other in the movie, right? Just like the two blue and red homes that stood as well.
Like the Pillars of Solomon, yes, the red and the blue, the sacred feminine, sacred masculine. So Jay, this is what I told you about.
Whoa!
Watch this, Donut. It's crazy.
Is that like magnets?
No, there's some type of charge.
Check it out.
And I told Jay it looks like plasma. He said it's electrical charging. Listen to it.
It's a vortex.
Things are opening up now.
Oh, you can see it.
Yeah.
Oh, I never noticed you could see it.
Yeah, dude.
It was, that
was tight.
So you don't think that's just magnetic?
Electromagnetic.
It's electromagnetic because
like some kind of a static discharge.
Yeah.
And look at this huge cliffs that they're on, all that rock.
Up all over the world. This is probably an ancient ley line here at the Grand Canyon. There's probably some type of
that's not the Grand Canyon?
Yeah. There's probably ancient energy there because the natives, the Nephilim kings, they talked about how they had giants living at the Grand Canyon at one time. So
yeah,
very interesting. But I thought that was just amazing. I thought it was pretty cool, man. And then we have, just so much going on with the weather, the flooding, fire after fire after fire. It's unreal. Now, some people think that this whole event is some type of HARP technology, that maybe it's an ancient geoengineering way to factory reset everything. Have you ever thought about that, Jay?
Yeah, I've heard about the HARP stuff. So I don't know. Like I believe that there are those, in secret organizations and even within government known organizations and whatnot that understand a deeper level to the world that we live in, and that they develop technology to benefit from, for example, just like you saw, like the girls touching that or whatever. Like it's not a huge stretch of the imagination to imagine the government coming in and setting up shop to take advantage of this gigantic electromagnetic force field in some way, shape, or form, just like they would with HARP or anything else. But like back to the Blue Beetle movie and the symbolism in there, especially regarding like the heat, the fires, the electricity that's now popping up, whether or not like that's the cause of it or anything. And the oceans, kind of like I want to tie in the oceans too, to how we were talking about earlier. And Paranoid American mentioned the red tide and stuff like that too. So Remember how earlier I drew that rudimentary sort of drawing of that beam of energy that comes up out of Mount Meru and spreads out towards the top or whatever, giving us like the sort of Thunderbird or the different images of this blue bird in the sky or a blue tree of life and stuff like that. The inverse also was the Antichrist light, or the blue beam that comes down, which is that heated, focused energy. I'm going to share my screen real quick because I just did like another little drawing. Just to give you an example of how it works. It looks confusing at first, so I'll just explain it. Up here, this is the firmament like I drew earlier. Now I've added the red ionized hydrogen on top of it because here's an article real quick. It says scientists detect plasma tubes in the Earth's magnetosphere. So those plasma tubes, as they refer to them, are ionized hydrogen, which gives us a magenta red spectrum color, which is why on the other side, whenever we go through this shift, this bump right there at the top is Nibiru. That's why it's the red planet. That's why people see this circular spherical looking object up in the sky, and they see this huge, gigantic, massive, what they believe to be a planet or the place of the crossing, because this is where people cross over and they leave this world and they go out into space or whatever. But anyways, let me explain these other ones. So these yellow lights, this would be those plasma tubes of light that we just talked about. See, they even have them yellow here. So those plasma tubes of light, they spin around the firmament. They spiral around the firmament. The light from the plasma passes through the glass or the ice of the firmament. If it's made of ice, I believe it's made out of ice. So that light passes through and then it hits it and it refracts at the angle that the firmament creates, giving us a focal point right here in the middle, which we call the sun. So we would have sunlight. So you would have like a big old focal point right here in the middle. And this would be the sun redistributing that light into what we call daytime. But whenever those plasma tubes of light shrink and they go into pulse or flux, which they do from time to time, this is also what may be responsible for our seasons and stuff, and why the sun looks like it goes further away, because those plasma tubes of light would shrink above us and expand above us, pulsating. When they shrink too much, because they're going to go into flux during the summer solstice apocalypse time, they shrink into these blue areas right here. I'm just going to use the yellow one because I have it up, but the light pulls inwards and it creates a tighter daytime. As you can see down here represented, this is just a crude drawing, but this would be our daytime, giving us shorter days, which is what Jesus talked about as a sign or an omen of the apocalypse, was the shortening of days and the quickening of time. And then whenever they exceed the tropic that is set for it, and it transcends that, we have this where it's basically coming straight down, and it would hit the edges of this inner dome. Any light that hits the inside of this crater on the top or this inverted dome, you wouldn't see that because it would be diverted. It would actually go outward out here, and you would not see that light. The only light that people would see would be this blue beam of, it would be a circle, and it would create a tight laser, basically, like a gigantic laser that would shoot down, but all of that would be blue. So let me just color that in blue real quick. All of that inside would be blue light. It's kind of hard to see, but you get what I'm saying, right? That this whole inner portion would be blue light. So what people would see when they look up would be, I'm just going to use the colors I have, and I'm going to draw it off to the side. If you were to look up at it, it would be the blue star Kachina that has removed its mask. It's dark, or it has a black face. It's black in the middle. There's an ancient Mayan god, I think it was Mayans, that have a sun god who's black. He has a black face, and the rest of him is blue as well. But this, people would look up and they would see this blue light shining down. This is the deadly light that would shoot down, making its way up to Mount Meru as it spirals inward. And then eventually there would be a face-off. There would be a battle between the true blue light of Mount Meru erupting upwards, shooting upwards as we go and finish that polarity shift, and the false blue light, which is coming downwards. There was a sort of meeting and this battle over Mount Meru, which would be like the throne of God, or the seat of God on earth, or where God rests, or whatever, right? So I know that's super ugly. I'm so sorry. But let me stop screen sharing here. Okay, so basically, the hotter the sun gets, the brighter it will get as well. It stands to reason. And whenever that sunlight gets brighter and brighter, it hits the oceans. And whenever the oceans start to heat up like that, all of those photoplankton and or phytoplankton and cyanobacteria. Remember, I was sharing with you cyanobacteria. It's called cyan because it's bacteria that starts off a bluish green, and then as the light intensifies above it, it will protect itself. It creates a defense mechanism, and it goes from green to red, and it turns into what Paranoid American was saying was the red tides, right? Which release toxins into the atmosphere and into the waters themselves, which gives us in the book of Revelation. I'll go ahead and read this. It says, this is Revelation chapter 8, verse 7. The first angel blew his trumpet, and hail and fire mixed with blood were thrown down on the earth. 1/3 of the earth was set on fire. 1/3 of the trees were burned, and all of the grass that was green was burned. The second angel blew his trumpet, and a great mountain of fire was thrown into the sea. 1/3 of the water became blood. 1/3 of the living things in the sea died, and 1/3 of the ships at the sea were destroyed. And then a third angel blew his trumpet, and a great star fell from the sky, burning like a torch. It fell on 1/3 of the rivers and the springs of water, and the name of the star was, they say wormwood, but that word translates into bitterness or poison, basically, or toxic, or toxicity. Wow. It made 1/3 of the waters bitter, and many people died from drinking bitter water. And then there's a fourth angel that sounds his, and he does something to the sun. It says that 1/3 of the sun was struck. So that if 1/3 of the sun was struck, that means 1/3 of our daytime has been shortened, so that we experience a shortening of days or quickening or a smaller amount or area of redistributed light from the sun, which we call day or daytime light. And basically, the hotter that sunlight gets, or the brighter that it gets, which is blindingly bright right now, the faster the oceans and those cyanobacteria that's in the ocean, which is the reason why over 50% of the ocean is now green instead of blue as it used to be. Everything's changing colors. Like the sun used to be red and orange and yellow and stuff. Now it's whitish blue. The oceans used to be blue. Now they're turning green. The next step is when it gets hot enough, the ocean bacteria will protect itself and give us the red tide. The world across, 1/3 of the ocean is, according to the Bible, releasing toxins into the air, killing off all of the life forms, which we're already starting to see. Whenever the water gets hot enough, the oxygen dissipates from the water itself, and the fish suffocate. And you'll start seeing this more and more. If this is true, it stands to reason that the fish would just die off in mass. You would just have thousands and hundreds of thousands of fish floating to the surface because they have suffocated. And then, it's like it's a domino effect, basically. And the waters turn blood red, and we get red tide all over the place as toxins are released into the air, and people start having breathing problems and respiratory system problems and stuff like that. And I mean, they'll interpret it according to their own perception filters, and they'll blame whatever they want to blame. Some people may blame the government. Some people may blame whatever. But this is something that nature, I feel, is fully capable of doing as an omen and as a sign leading up to that depressurization that I talked about, or at the very least, a polarity shift or a pole shift.
Could I just say really quick before people start getting all upset and worried that, end times are coming and stuff? Our governments have developed this thing called carbon credits, and as long as you just pay the government and they buy carbon credits, none of that happens. So thankfully, Jay, this problem's been sorted out. You guys don't have to worry about this.
Thank God. Oh man, God bless the governments. Thank you for looking out and having our best interest at heart.
No, they probably knew this event was going to happen, and they figured, like Paranoid America said earlier, how can we make money off it and blame it on them? Let's, even though it's happening naturally, organically, let's blame it on them and make a couple dollars and take their rights away. That's, that's what they love to do. That's, now I got a slide here, and, my boy Donut did a breakdown on all the blue in Maui that didn't end up getting burnt. I did one on it too. And then there's a lot of people sharing some false info though. I don't think it was on purpose, but this article right here about Oprah, it's not true. That house comes from this article, September 8th of 2020. And her house it's got blue in it, but it's blue and red, right, Donut?
Right.
Okay. So when I found it on Brandon's thing. He said someone sent it to him. I don't think he did it on purpose, but it was at, this is organic synchronicity here. It was at exactly 666 likes. And then I researched, well, who started this? Who started sharing that post first? And their name was Wall Street Apes. Wall Street Apes equals 666. So I found that interesting. And Donut, could you tell us a little bit about the blue 666 hertz?
Oh, I got me on mute. Yes, for sure. If you want to share my screen real quick, to bring it back to this blue, the blue Mimi in the Yellow Submarine from the Beatles, and even the Illuminatus trilogy shows the Yellow Submarine.
Wow.
And the Yellow Submarine's got the eye, and the evil eye, and to protect it is always color coded with the blue. Here's the Beatles. And this is, I think it's, I don't know where it's from, but it looks like a hieroglyph from the Book of the Dead or something. But you got a beetle on this little boat, like a Yellow Submarine little boat. That's what I wanted to show. But yeah, the blue frequency, I guess I could stop my screen now. I got tons of slides on it. All these things is wild. Here, let me share my screen real quick.
Ain't it crazy doing that? How like there really was stuff that didn't burn that was blue, a lot of stuff. But then the elites, they slipped that fake article in there because it to try to make us bite on it so they could come back and fact check it on us. That's why I wanted to share it so people didn't make that mistake.
This is never, This is never before seen pictures. If you share the screen, I was in Lahaina where this got burned down, and so I met my friend out there, and he lives out there, and he took pictures, and he's all like, "Oh, thank you for sharing the blue stuff," and that's that blue car, and some of the blue umbrellas. But the blue stayed up, and then he showed me a picture, and this never been shared before on the internet, unless you watched the live stream last night on the Patreon. But this is his friend's backyard. It's all like burnt down, but the blue slide's still there as well. So this blue stuff is showing up. It's like some sort of code. But yeah, I don't know really what you want me to talk about on it, but it's
well,
it's
the blue the 666 hertz connected to the frequency that you talked about with Ani yesterday a little bit. Do you have anything?
Well, so that? Like from my understanding is this is what's happening right now is a lot about what this Blue Beetle movie is about, with this like technology onto the cellular level through lights, optogenetics and whatnot. That it seems science fiction or whatever, but I mean, we got to get past it. That it's so advanced, the what they're doing with mind control. They're implanting false memories through the flashing lights through these concerts. People go to concerts, they get implanted with false memories because of the optogenetics, where they're able to put in false memories into lab rats. So there's so much going on, but they can also manipulate the blueprint of life, of our cells and whatnot, through certain light frequencies. The blue frequency, the purple blue, is on the same wavelength pretty much. The blue you see on the police car quicker than you see the red on the police car. It's such a scientific dictatorship right now. That's on some next level stuff that you need scientists to come on and explain it. But the thing is that it's hard to understand what they're saying because they're a little too wicked smart. I don't know. People with really high IQs they look at us like we're dummies, so it's hard for them to lower their selves down to a dummy level so we can understand it.
There's something else here that's really interesting about the color blue and what Jay was saying recently about basically like light refraction. And that's, I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the concept called structural blue, but structural blue is the actual blue pit, like the blue color you see on a beetle, and it's not a pigment. It's actually the way that it reflects. There's some kinds of butterflies that have that same structural blue color, they call it. And what's interesting is that there's actually no blue whatsoever. It's all just how that particular medium is reflecting light at certain angles that makes it look blue. And that's exactly what Jay was kind of describing about the colors of the light as they bounce around the top of that dome and refract. So that's what makes blue beetles unique too, in that it's a psyop, right? Like it's like a psyop on a microscopic level, where nature is like, we're going to show you this color, but it's not actually that color. It's happening because of like very complicated sort of like light spectrum dynamics.
And shout out to Ani. I see him in the comments. He knows all this light frequency stuff, so go subscribe
shout
to
out
him.
to Ani Asoru. You can find all of his links on truthmafia.com, which will take you right to his YouTube, which is Ani Asoru. Amazing content. You can also find him on Patreon under the same name, Ani Asoru. I'm losing my voice so bad, guys. But I got another slide I wanted to show, kind of goes with this whole thing, and I want to get all three of your opinions on it real quick. I'm really curious if Jay knows much about this, because I'm fascinated with this whole color blue now. So, Brother Jay, did you ever hear like ancient people, they said couldn't see blue? And then we had the blue gods with these Caucasian gods with blue eyes.
Right.
You know,
Yeah, totally. Oh man, there's so much. Okay, so I've done a video about it. Other people have too, that they say that blue didn't exist if you go farther, further back in time. And I believe that this has to do with the color spectrum shift that happens in our world. Like we talked about, the sun as a focal point, the one that we're used to up in the sky, it was depicted as being red, like on the Japanese flag. It's not a setting sun. It's not a rising sun. Otherwise, it would be a horizon or something, but it's a red sun. It used to be a different color spectrum. So the variety of colors alone that we experience in this world, which there seems to be more colors now than there ever were, like Crayola crayons and stuff. They're coming up with weird names with all these different, small variants within colors or whatever, all these different types of blues and greens and reds and other colors and stuff. That's because the sun changed white. And that white spectrum allows for all of the colors to be prevalent. But if you go further back in time, our light source, or the focal point up in the sky, if that was a different color, if it was more of a red spectrum color, we would not have blue. These other colors would have to emerge as the color spectrum shifted and went from red into the yellow and yellow into the white, and now white into a whitish blue, giving rise to different colors. Also, the legends indicate like that these god type beings or extraterrestrials or whatever people would like to see them as often were depicted as pasty pale white skinned individuals, and the legends say that they landed on a holy mountain, or Mount Meru basically is how I like to see that, and that they landed on this holy mountain, Olympus, Sinai, whatever you want to call it. And if you have a blue light emitted from that mountain, then the people themselves would look like Smurfs. They would look blue. They would be huge, giant white beings that actually had a blue glow to them, because it's just the white color reflecting the blue color that they're in proximity to. If they were in proximity to other colors, then they might appear different. If they had like pasty albino looking white skin, right, that they would appear a totally different color. And then the eyes actually, oftentimes I've found in my research, would glow, dependent upon, how energetically charged our atmosphere is. It actually charges the spirit within the body, and that the spirit would reveal itself to people, typically and oftentimes those who were good natured or had the terrestrial earth energy would have glowing blue eyes, not just the pigmentation and the color that we have today, but actual light that emitted from their eyes. And I did a whole thing about Moses and how like the Bible has a translation where it says that horns came out of his face. That word horn is akin to the word beam. So like beams of light that come out of his eyes, and it was dark at that time too. So that's why the people would freak out, because Moses's eyes were glowing as he got close to this holy mountain that energetically amplified his very own energetic charge or spirit or soul. And then of course there's red plasma, the blue versus the red. The red is the ionized hydrogen from above in the plasma sphere wrapped around our world. That comes down and it also incorporates itself. It also possesses animals, people, anything that has a weaker or an empty vessel. So this gives rise to the robots coming alive all by themselves and having red eyes, like in the Terminator and stuff, and seemingly being connected to like a type of hive mind and having an agenda, which is to, wipe out humanity, which would be representative of that red spectrum, those with the red eyes versus the blue eyes that glow. Damn, I was going to say something else too, but I totally spaced it. I totally forgot what I was going to say.
Well, they say blue was like the oldest Egyptian color, and all the elites would wear it. So it's interesting that
it would be difficult. It would be a task to be able to manipulate the light, like how Paranoid American was talking about how the light refracts in different ways. It would be an undertaking to create blue. In our world today, you can make it easily because of the white light that's coming down, right? You just mix red, or you just mix the colors to make blue, whatever it is, right?
My boy Ani, he's like our secret weapon for the Truth Mafia. He breaks it down how it's connected to this. I think it's like a thing in the ocean that they would harvest this blue color, and
from the snails.
Yeah, if you did one thing to it, no, it's the same thing.
Is it? Okay.
If you did one thing to it, it would turn purple.
Right.
If you didn't do that, it would. Ani, help me in the comments. Break it down in the comments, Ani, so I can share it on the screen. He broke it down yesterday. Donut, do you remember, bro? I can't remember.
Oh yeah, it goes deep. But you need an expert.
You're talking about the pigments that the Phoenicians used to harvest out of the sea snails. And that they would have to harvest it at a specific period of time, because when the moon was full and in a certain period of the year, these particular types of sea creatures would emit different types of like pheromones or like hormones or something. I'm making that aspect up, but the people that knew how to make this, it was highly coveted, and they didn't share it with anyone. And this color is where the word Phoenician even came from. It represented this particular like purplish blue hue, and the ultimate one was actually talking about that structural colors again. There was one that was such a dark purple that it looked black until the light hit it at a certain way, and then it looked purple. And that was like the most coveted, the hardest to get. And even when you see like the old royal paintings and the kings and the Roman emperors that would wear the purple, it was even darker purple than that. It literally looked like it was a black two-tone. And this was such a highly coveted material that they actually made it illegal for commoners to even wear purple, because it was reserved for someone of like such high status. And it's also one of the few things that we have to trace the Phoenician culture, because in the Canaanite area, they had like by Canaan and by Tyre, they had a lot of these like artifacts left over from making the purple hues. And then it shows up again in Carthage, and then it shows up again around Tunisia, I believe, in like northern Africa. And this is a connection because it was like a highly coveted thing. It's almost, this is not the perfect example, but like locksmiths, even today, it's still like you can't just go to locksmith school and learn everything you need to know. You kind of have to go through an apprenticeship, and they keep like all of these arcane knowledge about like old safes and old doors and old systems. They keep it kind of hidden because they want you to have to go through, like the training to be able to have this secret knowledge. Otherwise, anyone would just be able to open any door. And it's kind of the same thing with this Phoenician skill of being able to create this purple pigment that no one else could.
I would just chime in too that imagine how these different pigments and stuff would react under a different color spectrum or a different light spectrum. Kind of like in the movie Avatar, where like the foresty stuff all kind of glows. It has like a sort of glow to it and lights up. If you have like a blue light shooting up and then all that red cracking plasma tentacles and stuff coming down, then you mix those together and you would get purple as well. Blue pigment reflects blue, or that's why we see blue, is because it shoots back blue. So you ever see that video where the dude shines the laser and all the colors burn except for the blue? It makes sense because that laser is blue. So it hits the blue and the blue just gets rid of the light. It shines the light right back because it repels blue. So that's why we see blue. You know what I mean? Which is another reason why the oceans in older times, going back to like the color blue not existing or not being mentioned or whatnot, the oceans were described as being wine dark or like a dark red color because they reflect that's why we see blue today, is because they're reflecting that colors. But whenever the spectrum changes and the light source is more red from like the all-seeing eye that's hydrogen filled and all that stuff, then the oceans would look dark, and then they would just reflect a little bit of the light from above or the sky or the atmosphere, which would be red. So it would look wine dark. The oceans would look like, and that might be why like some of that blue stuff possibly, if there were lasers, or even if it's the sun. You ever hear that one dude? He's like, the sun is a deadly laser. You never hear that little gif or whatever that is?
And Jay, they can take, in ancient times, they had them giant mirrors where they could burn whole cities. And then there's this guy on Instagram, Doenut. I'm sure you've seen him, brother, because I share his videos to my story a lot. And he's out there with, not a big one. It's about the size of a big screen TV. It's a magnifying glass, and he burns rocks and all kinds of stuff. His videos go viral on Instagram. But he burns a bowling ball, it blows up just with a giant magnifying glass in the sun. So you don't think the government has figured that out? All I know is if we head out to Hawaii, guys, you know what I'm saying? We got to paint ourselves blue. I was thinking when they do Project Bluebeam, maybe we paint ourselves blue.
I love that, man.
Yeah.
Well, Project Bluebeam covered the electronic cache system, and the electronic cache system is all blue, ISO 2022. It's changing from red to blue as well. I know I come in hard with that microphone.
No, we love it.
But like you got I think there's a ritual going down with 50 Cent. Right now, he's about to perform at the Crypto Stadium. That's blue. MCO is blue. XRP turned to X, but it started off as the Triskelion being a blue symbol. So Project Bluebeam talked about the electronic cache system as well.
So you think a lot of this is connected to smart cities and stuff, Doenut?
It's all connected to the smart cities, not the wicked smart cities, but those like wicked smart cities. So like the optogenetics, using the lights, all the lights are turning purple and blue. This is optogenetics, and it goes into our phone, emitting the blue light frequencies. So you got to put on your blue light blockers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Remember you talked about them street lights. Ain't that kind of a bluish purple?
Yes. So like in Hawaii, the locals and Hawaii, they even passed a law to stop the deep sea mining for the elements in the earth of the digging deep in the ocean, so they can generate their electronic cities with the cheap light bulbs for the smart grids and smart cities.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And they can also, I want to say this without getting in trouble. Them frequencies and lights can have an effect on the human DNA. Am I right with that?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
they can manipulate your cells and implant memories into your head.
Sorry guys, I got JayDreamerZ website over here, and it's one of my favorite websites.
It's one of my favorite
I love his
websites
website
too.
Yeah, it's cool. I like his colors and stuff. You know, pretty similar to Brother Donut's website. Well, you know, the color scheme anyways. And
It's
make
the
sure you guys
donut
come.
colors.
Yeah, support Donut, support his page.
It's not the colors you think it is. It's donuts got sprinkles.
Right.
I'm taking the pink back to the donut.
Yeah, Ani's in the comments. He thinks it's connected to a certain flag, but we're not going to get into that.
It is, but
it is, but yeah, we got to take our colors back, man.
Hey, no pink on paranoidamerican.com.
What are you talking about? Look at the background.
Yeah, it's pink right there.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
I think pink is a masculine color because guys were attracted to pink. So it's like,
yeah, and guys, come check out Truthful TV.
I guess that doesn't make any sense.
No, not really. It's okay.
I didn't get much sleep.
Come check out truthfultv.com. We're self-funded by you guys. Through you guys, we were able to build Truth Mafia, which is a conglomerate of some of the biggest content creators in the world. You'll find JayDreamerZ over there, Ani Asoro. Make sure you go subscribe to Ani's YouTube page right here. He's phenomenal. You guys, trust me, you'll thank me after you do. And it's, you know, ANIOSARU. And then you guys know JayDreamerZ's YouTube and his website, jaydreamerz.com, Paranoid American. He's got all the comic books over here. Just really cool stuff. You can get them on here. He's got one about chemtrails for children. It's a children's book, and it's phenomenal. We got to start educating our kids on what is really going on out here. Now, I got a bunch of new strands up here, and these are better than anything you're going to get on the street. Trust and believe that. We got that zombie, the THCP Delta blend, amazing. And I got some organic African soap. Ani, you might want to try that out, brother. I don't know why my son got that. I let him take care of all the shop and stuff. But anyways, if you want to book an online reading or join the lifetime diamond membership, it's only going for 4 more days. You just come over here. It's really simple. We got holistic counseling going on now too. So if you're having problems and you don't want to pay a ton of money to these counselors, you can talk to one of ours online. You just set up your appointment, go to next, bam, you're booking, and then you get all the content like me and Donut do, and members only content. So the video we did with Ani yesterday, you'll be able to watch that on here as soon as you join. You'll be able to watch the one me and Donut did on Maui when it first happened, and it was phenomenal. I really think it was one of our best ones ever. I honestly do. But if you don't want to join this way, you can also go down here to plans and prices and just join the diamond membership that way. And then I'll add you get the lifetime access to the groups, which gets you that content. And it also gets you the free numerology and astrology reading. Guys, they literally broke my website. I'm booked for several weeks out. We had so many appointments come in after that last video I did on Richard's. I was breaking down Richard's video. I couldn't believe how many people joined. I'm still trying to reach out to all of them. And after you join, I send you an email with all your links, so you have access to the gematria class and all that. And all you got to do, guys, you don't have to have PayPal. It just goes through PayPal to keep it secure, right? And you just, boom, put your email in, continue the payment, check out as a guest. It's that simple. You know, check out as a guest with your credit card. It goes through PayPal, it's secure. Same thing with any of our stuff on here. But the groups are really cool. It's kind of like our own little social media platform. And we're starting these over on truthmafia.com too. So you guys will be able to talk to all the Truth Mafia members. But if you go in like Truth Book, this is the main free group for everybody. You'll just see it's kind of laid out like Facebook. There's the calculator, which our boy Paranoid American developed, Occult Decode. You know, it's we got a plug in the middle, guys. We're almost done, but yeah, it's just really cool. We're able to talk to each other, see people sharing stuff on the Mountain Dew. Honestly, Donut, this is where I find 90% of my stuff because my people share it and then I figure it out. It's pretty cool to have something like this where they can share it with you.
That is
Here,
cool.
yeah. Here's the Oprah one I did that got banned. This video got banned. So you know what it did, I swear to God. Because I was exposing it as a psyop and they took it down on Instagram because they want to push that. You know what I'm saying? And you can also download the videos directly from there. But the diamond one, show you guys real quick right here. Here's the diamond one. That's only for the diamond members. So right here's the video me and Donut did. It's members only Ember rituals. You just hit play and watch it. That was a phenomenal video, wasn't it, Donut?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I couldn't hear you. Yeah, I think it was one of our best ones, brother. I really do. I was super proud of it. And we got the gematria calculator guys on both sites. This one and Truthful TV. So whichever one you want to use, that's fine. And of course, you can use it on Paranoid Americans too and look for the block words. He has the date calculators, you know. But make sure you also show JayDream some love. Check out all his stuff. He's phenomenal with the Plasma Apocalypse. He's got some pricing plans over here too. What type of stuff do you offer, Jay?
So you'll notice there's a new tab there that says Omens. Click on that one real quick.
Oh, yes, sir.
So I'm doing a segment on my channel called Omens, and it's all about like taking a look at the, you know, alternative news stories in the world and stuff. And this is where viewers, if you've caught an omen or if you have a video that you took of something strange and anomalous and weird happening in the world, you can go here and upload it and I'll get it so that I can review it and share it as a part of my series so that we can all, you know, we can all have access and check out all the different things that are happening around the world as a form of alternative media to the news.
That is so smart, bro. I might have to jock that. That is the smartest thing I ever seen. Because instead of sending it to your email, they just upload the video right there and you get it, right?
Yeah, that's right. So you can
That's
can
cool,
pictures
man.
or videos or whatever, and it goes right to me.
That's cool, Donut, ain't it, bro? You should put that on your site too, brother. I mean, it's just a good way to stay in contact with your people. And then he has the book Ancient Oblivion, the Plasma Apocalypse. That link is down in the description. Amazing read. There's Jay. How old was you there, right there, Jay?
Let's see, it's probably 38, 39. I don't know. It was like 4 years ago.
Oh, yeah. Your hair is different. That's why I was wondering.
Oh,
But
yeah, I started growing my hair out. But that's my first book. I'm working on part 2 right now. It's going to be a trilogy. It's an Ancient Oblivion series. That's the first book in the series. That one gives you the gist of all that Plasma Apocalypse stuff I was talking about. That's why I have the blue beam on the cover reaching up to that depressurization point in the sky. You can see the light, the ionized hydrogen swirling around it there. And then the second book that I'm working on right now is Return to Hyperborea, and that's going to be all about Mount Meru, the Rupus Nigra, the island mass that used to be on the maps in the center of the world and stuff. So that's where you can check it out. You can get the Kindle edition online. You can read it online and stuff and flip through page by page, or you can get the soft cover. I'm working on updating it. Whenever I come out with my next book, I'm going to actually revamp the cover. I'm going to come out with a hardcover edition of it as well, and probably some bonus chapters for it.
You should work with Paranoid American, dude. He is amazing at making these books. And I'm gonna do one with him. And Jay, we want to do your idea, brother. You came up with that idea the last time you were on here about the trading cards. I think
Isn't that sweet?
Yeah, it's a phenomenal idea. And Paranoid American, he's just so gifted when it comes to that stuff. He
I
really
totally agree, man. This artwork's perfect for all the different genres and the things that we talk about, and presenting it in a way that's, you know, it's I don't know, it's easy to digest, it's easy to see. I'm a visual person, so I really like to be able to see all of these things come to life, especially in like comic book form or trading cards or things like that.
Yeah, we
yeah,
got
it's
something
awesome.
cooking, man. We got something cooking. I've been talking to Jay on and off about this, and man, I didn't know about the book series that you've been working on. That's dude, that's a perfect concept where you take something really complicated that might take a few books to explain, but if you could illustrate it into one of these little pamphlets over the course of just like a few of these little pages,
Nice.
that those are such great ways to get someone like their interest peaked. And then it's so like to send this to someone in the mail or to throw this into someone's hand, it's so easy because you can read through this thing on a car trip or while you're waiting for a bus or whatever. And if you
Yeah.
like that much, then it's like, okay, now they're going to buy more
Yeah,
books and
yeah.
more research. So I love the format, man. I mean,
You
comics are my
make those?
lifeblood.
You make those little flippy books?
This is
Yeah,
my big one. Yeah, this was MK Ultra. You can get it at
What?
mkultracomic.com. Yeah, it breaks down the
That's
entire history
tight.
of
I love
MK
that.
Ultra, Project Paperclip, all the way to modern day. And I'm coming out with a whole series of these things on a bunch of various topics.
show him
I have
show
the
him the
homunculus one here too.
chemtrail. Show him the chemtrail book for the kids, and
Oh
show him
yeah, I don't know. Oh, actually, yeah, I got one right here. So
Paranoid American.
this is a 50 plus page, fully illustrated, all color. It's a serious endeavor, but it also happens to break down the entire concept of chemtrails. Like, for example, here we're talking about geoengineering, greenhouse gas removal, solar radiation management. That's like a lot of these aspects. Here we're talking about Morgellons. I don't know of any other
Wow.
children's book on the planet
How
that talks
cool.
about Morgellons. So you see the little the little metallic. Hey, look, this magnet I carry around attracts to this black fiber. So they're
Wow.
showing you exactly what to look for in Morgellons disease. It
You
gets
should
into everything,
send,
man.
you should send Jay one of them for his son, man. I gave
I'll
it to
send you
my
one,
daughter.
100%.
She's 5, bro, and she loves it. I believe in educating my children, and Jay, I know you do too. He also, my favorite book that he has is called Paranoid American History 101. That's the one I love. It just looks
This is
freaking
one of the stories
phenomenal.
from it. There's a little mini comic based on one of the stories from 101.
Oh, how cool.
It's a story about the actual, legend of Prescott Bush and some of the Harriman brothers going and digging up the grave of Geronimo. And it's a fun little comic where
I
they
love
basically
that.
dig it up. It ends with George Bush here with his cheerleaders uniform on, playing with the decapitated head of Geronimo.
Uh,
And
Yeah,
here,
it's a great
there's
way to
Prescott
learn.
Bush.
oh, that's amazing, bro. We definitely man, I'm gonna have to work with you and get you to I'm gonna have to hire you, bro. Like to
We'll
make a
collab, bro.
plasma
We'll collab
apocalypse comic
100%,
book.
man.
He's phenomenal, man. I want to know what to do without him. He's helped me so much. He built that gematria calculator, and he honestly he didn't charge me nothing. I just promoted him, and we helped each other like that. So it, it was amazing. Most people were telling me, "Oh, it's going to take 2 months." He literally built that thing in a weekend. Now he's got the match feature he had to add on to it, but every other site, Jay, they charge like $15 a month to hit match. We don't charge nothing. We keep all them features free, and down the road, Paranoid America might add some like super features for a couple bucks or something. But
Yeah, once you're gonna have to get jacked in, and you won't even be able to get out of bed unless you like pay me a subscription fee, and then that's when the prices jump.
yeah, because it's going to cost us a lot of money eventually once the traffic comes in so much. It just goes up to be able to hold all that data and stuff. But it's pretty cool. I think it's the best calculator online, honestly, in my opinion. And we're getting ready to build Ani's website, me and Ani. So I told him, I said, you should talk to Paranoid American about embedding it over there too. Because it's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
100%, man.
Yeah, you can embed it everywhere. So does anybody got anything they want to plug? We did almost 2 hours. My brother Donut's getting quiet up there. He might have fell asleep on me.
No, I woke back up.
How's Chan doing, Donut?
He's looking out the window.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he's fine. He's a
His
Russian blue Chan.
Chan is blue, ain't he?
Yes.
So he don't gotta worry about those lasers.
Yeah, Chan will survive the lasers, dude. You might want to hold Chan over you.
Yeah, he's from the streets. He's a street cat.
Yeah, Chan's cool as shit, man. But Jay, we just want to thank you, brother. You're always, so fun to podcast with, and I just thank you for, coming on today. It was really awesome, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's I vibe with all you guys. I like a little group we got. It's fun times to chat.
Yeah, I think Truth Mafia, we had this lady, she's like the biggest psychic out in California, and she told us within 18 months we would be the biggest thing in the whole like conspiracy genre, kind of like what Alex Jones did with Band.video, you know what I'm saying? That's what we're trying to do without being controlled. Because
superheroes.
I love Alex. I would go on his channel, but like you got to be crazy to think that dude ain't getting paid off a little bit. He has more viewers.
I just don't want to be yelled at.
I love when he tweets out like that. Interdimensional space aliens. I would get him going down that rabbit hole just to see him tweak out. He actually did shout Donut out once, kind of, right, Donut?
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he played one of my videos.
He should have cool. Donut's YouTube though, like a little more. But hey, who cares? I think every one of us on here would definitely go on if he invited us.
Oh yeah, I used to flood him with books, but I never got a response, man. I must have sent him like 100 comics over the years.
Wow. Dang.
Well, I mean, I can get a hold of Greg Reese, so maybe we could go that angle. Paranoid American, I'll talk to you about it later. But all right, guys, we love y'all. Smash that like button. Go support JayDreamerZ. Go support Donut, Paranoid American, and don't forget, only 4 days left on the Diamond membership, and we are flooded. So if I don't get right back to you, I promise you'll have an email coming from me. Love y'all. Knowledge is power. Truthmafia.com. We're all waving. Is it going to end on 201? You got to be kidding me. Still hasn't ended. That's very bizarre. What is going on here? Having trouble connecting. Please check your internet connection. You believe